How can it be such a chaos on the fly tying table? And even I've got two. This is for filming and the other one is for my private tying, but this is how it is. Okay, sorry for that start. I'd like to introduce you and welcome you to our 50th film in our little series Pattern of the Month. And it's always like this, what to tie and should I use this new stuff or not, and how much does a fly really need to prove that it's good before it ends up in one of the films. And I've been pretty careful with that. I don't want to present stuff. I've done it a couple of times, but I don't want to present stuff that I don't know work. And so today we're gonna tie a fly, a black and green fly that it developed through the fly we tied last month, the black and silver. And from the black and silver I added green and changed the cone into a fluorescent green one, and I didn't know what to call the fly, and we call it black green helmet. It's a black fly, black and silver body with a green helmet. And the black and green is, I don't know how many patterns I fish and have over the years, black and green, but there are many. Black and green is a really good color combination. And this fly that's called the witch. The witch was tied first time maybe 15 years ago to a trip to the Karlovka on the Russian Kola Peninsula. And I wanted this fly to be more green than the black-green helmet. I wanted it to be more intense in the colors, since the intense green is really good on this river. And ever since, it's a fly that has given me many fish, and also my friends and people around. And maybe lately, the last 3 or 4 years, I've heard less from people fishing it, and I think it's worth tying. It's one hell of a good fly. So let's try the witch, the black green helmet, intense green version of what once was the black and silver. And as I told you, I got new eyes, meaning that I see like a falcon. But here I still need glasses to see what I do close by in this area. Okay, so we're gonna tie on our medium and extra small, and it's gonna be the black on both today. And I will cut this with a little tube cutter. And let's say we do it approximately 2 centimeters. And cut a little angle here. To have these fit. Cut the extra small with an angle too, makes it easier to put the cone on. And slide this on. Make sure the extra small goes quite far into the medium one. And then I'm gonna use a black thread. I could have used my fluorescent chartreuse one too, but I tie this on my black one. And here we go. First material to be tied in is a bit of mirage, like on many of my flies. And I will move the thread back and tie it in. And since I'm on black, I can work the thread back and just move the mirage front, but I'll do it like I do on most flies. I'll back this down and I save about 6 millimeters. Turn it and go front. Like that. If I want to, I can, like with most materials, I can move the thread front a little more, and I can double it back before I cut, meaning it's secured. Okay, so on this one I'm gonna, since I'm gonna tie it like a classic one, I'm gonna put a little tail, and I use a little bit of crafts fur. Those of you following know that we are working on our tail fiber still. It's strange how it can be so hard to dye certain colors. Okay, I look at this and you can see it's already tapered when I tie it in, which is one of the advantages with crafts fur. And I tie it in, I don't want it too big, and I back down my thread so there's nothing, no thread seen. And when I cut this, I don't cut it like that, I cut it like this. Because if I do, they are not even, making it much easier for me, I was going to trim this away, for me to have this just disappear into the body of the fly. Okay, hollow braid. I use our Greenlander Green one, and I'm going to use our sea lice silver one. And I think this is a really neat clear water color combination. Don't you agree? And as always, I start by tying in the one that's gonna serve as my ribbing. And then I do the body material after that, and I tie them in underneath. It's, I was going to say a habit, but it's good. It takes away more of the small bumps. And then I start by pulling this over part of the tail, so I'm sure there is no thread seen, and I overlap and build this. One of the big advantages with our braid is that you can actually build a tapered tinsel body. Tie it in. On the black green helmet I was using the black glitz, okay, but since I want this to be more green, take our dubbing dispenser box and I pick out the hot Greenlander Green, which is really hot with the fluorescent fibers inside, and I spin on this. And on the small flies I use regular dubbing instead of glitz, but glitz is so fantastic when it comes to brushing it out, so I actually work glitz on also fairly small flies. And to make it look good when it's ready, you need to overdress it a bit. If you don't overdress it, it will look too skinny when it's brushed. Okay, do that, and then I'm gonna put on a hackle, and I use both the plain green and gonna do this a little bit different. So I'm gonna do one of the green chartreuse green badgers. See if I have right size of feather. I always strip down. I try on these flies to have a hackle that's not too long, and making sure it's quite clean there before I tie it in. And I work this on the medium tubing, and doing a regular body hackle, I have a little bit of flash here, but it doesn't really matter. So I take this and I always start with one turn here before I back down over the body. And classic fly should have 5, including the first one. I also do 5. And I take my silver braid and I spin it down and I cross it over, and making this technique here where I cross every turn of hackle, meaning that this will, if the feather breaks, it will still just lift the parts of the broken feather, and it will not come just unwind. Take this and I can also back down 1 or 2 turns with the thread, and then I turn it and I back down to the edge where I'm going to tie in everything. Once again, doubled and secured. Go on to the meanest brush. Met a guy just recently that said, "Oh, you're calling this brush the meanest brush," and he says to me, that was not an understatement, because you can brush 1,000,000 flies with this and it does not break. So I brush it to get a few of these fibers to blend with the hackles, get a little more flash out like this, a little more light reflection, which is what I want on especially this fly, many flies actually. See where I have the thread? Then I take a little bit of our Angel Hair HD, and on the original black green helmet it was actually gold. And since I want this to be more green, I'm doing again the hot Greenlander, tie in a few fibers, 1 turn or 2, double back and tie it down. Cut it by pulling and cutting, so I get uneven length of this. A few times like this over the material I tied in. Can wet this and keep it for next fly. And it's gonna be a few 2 long ones, and normally I take those away when the fly is ready. Turn it and look from underneath. Okay, and then I'm going on to a really bright green color. It's when I dye this, I'll try to use both chartreuse and fluorescent colors, and I cut it off and I brush it and pull it over the brush to untangle all these fibers. Maybe this is a little too much, but we'll see. I want this to be fairly bulky, and I want to be able to tie it in flat like this, about the same length as my tail. And now it can be tricky to keep the thread up on the medium. take this and pull it a little bit. Make sure it stays up there to make a strong fly. And as you can see, I use half of the diameter of the tubing to pull down and get a wide wing like this. Should be like a, yeah, like an airplane wing or so. Cutting this quite close here. Try to keep clean. Looking at this, there's a few fibers pulling down here. Maybe I can take them away afterwards if I think they're too far down, but it's important to get a wide wing. Here I can add a little bit of glue already now. And I just put a little bit, oops, little bit just on that part there. Okay, and then I will take a little bit of angel hair and I will keep the color and do the hot Greenlander. It's not going to be many strands, just a few. That was, pick one more I think. Here we go. And I tie them in. And the same as before, I double back. Putting glue there, you have to be a little careful with your fingers. And then again, same as before, cut and pull to make these uneven in length. Okay, so I'm gonna tie now 2 colors of the wing and 2 colors of the hackle. And to make this work with the half turbo cone, to put the big turbo on, just had one here, you can do the wing and then do the hackles. Now I have to do it a little bit differently, and I divide the black wing into 2, and I will start. I don't want this to be a black fly, so I'll have to be a bit careful so I don't take too much. But I'll take one part first and make sure it's untangled. And I put it in as a roof over the green. Make sure these fibers are longer. About like that, I would say. And tie them in. And when things don't go the way you want to, it's better to undo it again. I had a little bit too much of this wing to slide down, so I'll do it again. I think the worst thing when it comes to a wing is when I have it too much on top, but I still don't want to have the wing under. And if you have a wing that is too wide, or when it gets too uneven, it will make your fly unstable in the water, and if you're unlucky, it starts to spin. A little bit unstable doesn't matter, but you don't want it to spin for sure. Okay, so that is that. Now I have a couple of things more, and I'm now going to start by putting on a green hackle. And you can use a million feathers, but actually what I think is good for these fairly big flies are the ringnecks. Ringneck they are quite long in fiber, but they are also quite durable compared to heron. Heron is not durable at all. Ostrich is durable, but on an ostrich hackle it will be too bulky on a fly like this, I think. So I'm going to use the ringneck one, and looking at what part of the feather I will take away all this too soft stuff, because here I want the actual fibers. And let's do 2 turns. And when it comes to how many turns you want to do and how long part of the feather, it depends on the diameter. I mean, to do 2 turns on the extra small, I need very little, but here I need a bit more. And it's always better to take a little too long, because then I can just strip off the ones afterwards. And I cut the little triangle and I tie it in. And you can see there's quite a lot of material there, but that does not matter, since I will have more wing and more hackles. And I double this by holding back the part on the feather that I'm actually tying in. And these are quite easy to double. And 2 turns is normally perfect. Doubles back nicely, and I tie it in. Like that. Cut it off. Seeing that it's even, I think it will be fairly good. I will run it through the brush when I'm ready, and it will be good, I think. I can take some of these hackles now and pull them down a little bit, so I don't get them too much in the wing, because there's going to be one more wing. Now I will, here I can do differently. I can put in one more black wing and do just a few strands. But looking at this, I don't want too much black here, so I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to go on and put the jungle cocks on now. And for those of you watching me tie, know that I use normally a bit smaller jungle cock than most people, and I tie them in long. And I always start with the one closest to me, because if I do it here, it's easy for me to see how long I want this. And normally the jungle cock, I think, is nice if it reaches the end of the tubing. So it's quite easy for me here to see that this is the correct length. Set it on the side and cut it. Slip ring a bit here, meaning I have to pull it a little. Take the other one and form it and hold it in so it's equal length. Make sure it's where it should be. Oh, I don't want to tie in those hackles too much. Like this, come down, hold it back and tie it in with a few turns. Is it good? I think it's good. And hold it out before I cut it, actually. Here we are. Okay, then I will take another hackle. I will go on with the next little ring neck hackle, looking to find one that's a little bit longer. And this was a little damaged there, but I think it'll be okay. And pulling away most of the soft in the bottom. I can save a couple of little softer strands, but like that. And here, careful so I don't get too much. Pull it out, have a look. I think I'm going to take away a little more. Preparing these so it will be approximately 2 turns again. And here I'm going to work this down on the extra small. This time I need a plier. It's disappeared. Here we go. Since we have our hackle plier that is ideal for these little stiffer feathers, it's so heavy you can just let it hang. And then I'll divide this, and I put the first turn on top of the medium, and then I do the second turn down on the extra small. You can see it's, you see I can let this go, but it's like a little spay hackle. I had a couple of strands there that were too long, but I'll just integrate those in the fly. Does it look good? I think maybe it does actually. Okay, so try to find this little thing here. Cut it off. And here I can use a regular dubbing needle, and I just divide this. Pull down the, I'm gonna have these two go this way too. Pull down these and just pull them down. I'm not backing up the thread here because I don't have room for that in the half turbo cone. Then we do a little bit more black, and here we have to be careful. Few strands, soft. Always use the best quality of hair on top. I think the softer, the more it moves, the better it is, and the more tapered it is, the more it will swim too. And you know, we say make them swim because we think that's important. And I take this and I put it in on top, longer, and tie it in. And now I work the thread on top like this. Very careful, so I don't put the thread next to each other, put them on top, because then this will be shorter, and it will be easier for me to hide this in the little space I have on the cone. Here we go. Let's do a little bit of angel hair again. And you know I love this nasty rusty angel hair. Couple of turns, especially on the black and green. It's really, really nice. Like that, and I back it down. Don't need more. If I want to cut that, I can do it afterwards. Okay, I didn't do one thing here that I do on some of these flies, and that is to put in some silicone legs. And look at this. This is what I use on these. We call them Greenlander Green. The thing is that the silicone legs are good, I think, to give some extra motion to the fly. If I'm going to tie this in, I'm not doing it this time. I'm doing a salmon fly this time, but if you want to do it more sea trout style, you take one and you tie it in and you double it back, and you take another one and you tie it in and you double it back. That way you get 4 silicone legs that will add to the fly's motion. Actually, I do have some of my flies where, depending on where I'm gonna fish it, I look at the fly and I just cut or take away the rubber legs. If you start by tying them in, you always have them and can take them away. But I fish very few salmon flies with rubber legs actually. So I'm doing this as salmon style now. I think maybe in our pattern packs we're gonna put in some of the legs for you if you want to try it. I'm gonna end this by putting on a few peacock curls from a feather that's dyed hot fluorescent green. And peacock is a feather with natural fluorescence, but to dye them you get even more of the color to it, and they shine really nice. I will form these between my fingers like this, and dividing and holding them in, tying them in on top just at the same time, and sometimes one of them wants to go another way than I, and then I have to take it out and pull it back. But I think these guys wanted to play with me. You see I have a little angel area here, and it's maybe easy to take that away now, but okay. So I'll pull this and lift these and press them back before I tie them, before I cut them off. And you saw there is not a lot of thread, but we don't have space for a lot of thread here, so that's why I do this. Okay, so where are the cones? Did they disappear? I told you it's chaos here. I'm gonna use, let's do a medium or an extra small one, which is our second biggest one, like this. And I slide it on. I need a little bit of glue here. It's so little thread, so I need a little bit of glue, and I will put the glue quite far away. Was that enough? A little bit. Quite far away from the where I have my hackles and everything. And then I will hold back everything, and I will take the thread and pick up the glue. And then I take this and I press it down, and I will cut the thread, because otherwise the thread will be in the way, and I'll cut this down. I'll pull this down, sorry. And the key when it comes to, make sure it's even too, when it comes to the half turbo cones, is to not get a lot of thread seen here. Because if you do, the thread will be the most vulnerable part of the fly. Looking at this, how did it turn out, you think? What do you guys think? I think it looks good. I think this is a fly that I would love to fish. And I take it out of the vise. And you've seen me do this. I always use support when I put this on, and I cut it about 3 mil. And I take a lighter, old white lighter, maybe wrong color, but that's how it is. Take this and I hold it and I melt it, just very careful. And the extra small will melt down and open up, get a good hold. It will hold the cone. Maybe it's because I'm the guy, or it's not because I'm the guy that started this cone thing, but I don't understand why you don't use the cone. The cone will balance the fly, and the cone will most of all protect the thread, meaning that this fly will be much more durable with the cone than without it. I look at the fly and I put it in my hand, and then I cut away the long angel hair. And I do that because they might tangle with into the hook. I don't want any angel hair to be longer than the hair. Here we have one long one too. So, a witch and one of my friends actually called me today. That's why I remember. Chuck Gentry from Canada, or from the US, fishes mostly Canada. He calls this the Green Witch. And he catches a lot of fish on this pattern. I only call it the Witch. And this is a version without the rubber legs, but it's a nice bright green and black fly that I think it's superb. I fished this on a cloudy day on a quite clear river, and if there's going to be too much sun and if it's a bright day, I more often fishes the Greenlander. Okay. Oh, sorry. Again, talking like crazy. And I hope you liked it. I like this fly for sure. And I hope you liked it, and I hope you're going to tie it. And do a few where you add the rubber legs too. I could have done it, but maybe I should. I've tied too few flies in this series with rubber legs, but that's how it is. Now it turned out like this, and I'm really happy with it. And this is going to catch me some fish next year, I hope. Next year. This is filmed right before Christmas, and we have only a few days left on 2024. Next year is 25, and that's going to be the best salmon year ever in Scandinavia, and maybe all over the world. Okay, thanks for watching, and I wish you a great 2025 and hope that you will stay strong and tie on like crazy. Thank you.